coastal region consists of about 130 wards. And if we take, for instance, the burden of, after the assessment, we found only 72 out of 130 where we needed to intervene for Bilharzia, while there was more other additional counties in terms of intestinal worms. To be precise, I think about 90 of the 130 required treatment for intestinal worms. In the western region, it's composed of about 155 wards, and out of 155 wards, we found out that 42 required interventions for Bilharzia, while another 140 required treatment for intestinal worms. Now, I want to maybe emphasize that on theory, Western had been known not to be endemic for Bilharzia. But after this finding, we found 42 wards requiring treatment. Now, the treatment currently is heavily donor-driven, and our engagement with the two levels of government is to see how we can able to raise domestic resources towards the implementation. I'm saying direct costs to the implementation. We kickstart this journey in Migori. We are looking at additional 4 counties within the Lake region. That is Busia, Siaya, Kisumu, and Homa Bay. I want to note that this exercise has been successfully completed in the 6 coastal counties and 4 western counties. The reason why we are doing mapping is to have the burden assessment on these 2 infections so that we can design appropriate interventions for the people who will be found affected, or the areas that will be having the prevalence above public health importance. Later, in the course of next year, we'll be upscaling to the remaining regions. Areas where we've completed mapping already, we've started complementary intervention measures. One, the fastest and surest way of lowering the prevalence of the disease is through provision of mass drug administration.
Remember, we are all working towards eliminating all these non-communicable diseases that can be neglected tropical diseases that can be eliminated in this country. So as a country, we are focusing on 4, trachoma included, and also we are in the process of working together with our partners towards Kenya being certified for having eliminated onchocerciasis. Why are they neglected? They mainly affect the poor, and once they get into a society, into a household, they affect the poverty status of the people in that household. So they affect the poor and they actually intensify poverty. They are neglected because the means of treatment are few. Awareness about these diseases has been low globally, but in the last 10 years we've seen quite a lot of focus on addressing these conditions to ensure that as countries we eliminate these diseases. So we've had conversations with the county government. The county government is very interested in working with the Minister of Health towards eliminating these conditions. What we need is goodwill and communities coming out to take treatment. We can bring all the drugs we can bring, but if people don't swallow them, then you will not have achieved the aim of the elimination process. So what we want to do is establish ways of working with community members, community structures, community health workers, frontline health providers to ensure that when we get these donated drugs, they reach individuals and those individuals take those drugs.
Yes, we've been handling cases of Bilharzia and Migori County. I remember in the year 2014, we carried out a survey and there was an outcry of around 20 schools, especially from Suna West. We carried out a survey in one of the schools. We found out 60% of the school was of the pupils with somebody were positive for Schistosoma hematobium. Later we escalated it to the national level, and then we carried out a survey whereby we found out like 26% of the whole of Migori population are infected with schistosomiasis. And since then, in the year 2020, we carried out mass drug administration for both schistosomiasis and soil-transmitted ailments. Yes, we've handled cases, and during the survey we carried in 2014, we could be able to sample urine, and whereby you find out the pot where you've carried corrected urine, all of it is blood. So it's a serious case in Migori County, and we hope for the current, or rather the granular mapping, which is yet to start, will be able to actually pick the areas, the exact areas which are affected, the preferences, and then we'll be able to channel the control intervention to those areas.
When it is advanced. So, and in women, because what happens, unakuwa anemia, isn't it? So for the weak one, you get urogenital, and the other one, the urogenital. In severe cases, it can result in intestinal obstruction, and this may kill. Then the bladder, urethra, and kidney are damaged in advanced cases, and this